guys, this is Kim from the Wolf Method, coming to you from my kitchen. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about green tea and the benefits and risks in trying to get pregnant. So firstly, let me tell you what exactly green tea is. So for those who are familiar with something like a sweet tea or an unsweetened tea, that's a black tea. Green tea technically comes from the same leaf. It's not a different type of plant or anything. But the difference is that one is aged and fermented longer than the other, that being black tea. So black tea naturally has a higher caffeine level than green tea does. It's a younger leaf. So some of the benefits that you can get from green tea, or the major benefit that you look for in a green tea, is getting additional antioxidants. So antioxidants are there to help protect your cells and your tissue in your body by preventing free radicals from forming. This repairs oxidative damage from things like environmental factors and aging. So basically, your whole reproductive system, as it gets older, especially for anyone 35 and older, me included, is something that definitely helps with egg quality and things like that, and just general reproductive health. So when you are considering drinking green tea and any of your morning hot beverages, you want to make sure that they're decaf, or you're limiting your caffeine to about 150 milligrams per day, which is equivalent to pretty much 1 cup of coffee. Black tea has around up to 70 milligrams. Decaf black tea probably around like 12 milligrams or less. Oolong is somewhere around 45 milligrams. Green tea typically has around 30 to 45 milligrams, and decaf green tea is something about 2 at the most. So even with green teas, even though they have a lower amount of caffeine per cup, you do still want to aim for decaf in any of your, hot morning beverages or iced beverages. So to look for decaf teas or coffee, they have different ways of decaffeinating them. Herbal teas are typically naturally caffeine-free, so the difference would be that those are caffeine-free versus decaffeinated. So when you're looking at decaffeinated green teas or any other types of teas, you want to make sure you're looking for on the packaging. More than likely, if they're doing it in a healthy way, they're likely going to mention the type of decaffeination process, some of which are through CO2 decaffeination. That's a more natural method. So this is one that I prefer. It's a Whole Foods brand of green tea that is decaffeinated naturally through the CO2 process. They mention it right here. Another method that is considered a natural method is called ethyl acetate. It's not necessarily as healthy, but it's still considered a safe version. The reason why it's not as healthy as the CO2 version would be that it strips the tea of polyphenols, which are packed with all sorts of nutrients, including antioxidants. So you're losing some of that through that process. Another healthy way is through water processing. So typically some coffees use what's called a Swiss water method. And I know some of the decaf coffee that I used to drink, from Whole Foods again, not a sponsor. Whole Foods definitely has the Swiss water method process in place, which again I've looked into, and it is a very healthy method. They just use water to process out the caffeine. And the last one, which is the least healthy version, is with methylene chloride. So that chemical is actually used in things like paint stripping. It's considered food safe in America, so it is a process that may be used here, and other countries, but it is definitely not considered one of the safer methods. I know that typically speaking, I would consider it safe to assume, and this is just my opinion, I consider it safe to assume that if it's not labeled on the box, which they're very, evidently labeled on the side or, on the front even a lot of times, naturally decaffeinated, and this is how they process it, that it may be safe to assume that that's the method that they're using to decaffeinate their leaves or beans. So if necessary, you can always contact the company and inquire, but a lot of times you could find it online just by Googling or on the box, like I said. Another thing that you want to consider when choosing a green tea is to make sure that it's organic. I eat, drink, consume, put on my skin as much organic products as I can possibly expose myself to. So I want to make sure that in doing that, I'm avoiding things like pesticides, soils that contain heavy metals. Things like that can be endocrine disruptors, which can throw off your hormones, and obviously the reproductive system needs them to be in a perfect balance in order to be able to have a baby and carry to term. So that's something that you definitely want to check. Obviously, the USDA organic symbol is prevalent if they are truly organic. If it's locally sourced, I'm not sure how easy that is to get, but if it's locally sourced, you can check obviously with your local farm to see if they are using organic soil and methods and whatnot. Sometimes it's a bit expensive for the companies to get the USDA organic stamp. So, if you're able to get them locally, or you find somewhere that you, kind of vet them a little bit online or something, you just want to check to make sure that they are, getting the best products out to you without those sort of pesticides, heavy metals, things like that. Next, I wanted to just talk about is vitamin C drops or spray in this case. So basically what this is something that you can add to your tea, about 50 milligrams, which in this case is 60 per their serving, which is 5 sprays. So whenever I'm making my green tea, I am spraying into my little nifty bottle here, 5 sprays, and then I'm better able to absorb the antioxidants. So the vitamin C enables your body to better absorb those antioxidants that you want to get from the green tea. So back to my little nifty bottle here. It's glass. I don't know if you can tell. And you can use loose leaf tea if you want. I just typically put the little bag right here, pour my hot water over it. I prefer nothing plastic. The lid is plastic. I just make sure that when I pour the water in, it doesn't reach the top. But aside from that, it is all glass. So you want to use either stainless steel or glass because any heat onto plastic is negative, again, an endocrine disruptor. So like I said before, you can sometimes have too much of a good thing. In this case, like I mentioned, 1 to 2 cups of green tea, decaf or caffeinated, is ideal for fertility. You don't want to overdo it because, unfortunately, all of those really good things, the parts that are beneficial to you, can become toxic to your body if you get too much of it. It's crazy, I know, but it's true. So you just want to make sure you are staying at a healthy level, 1 to 2 cups. That's 8 ounces. So, again, a size like this is something like, 2 cups probably. So really one of these a day is my max. And one more negative that you can get from drinking too much green tea is that it can be an inhibitor of folic acid. So too much can actually block your body from properly processing the folic acid. Obviously, if you've been trying to conceive for any period of time, you know that you should be taking a prenatal vitamin with folic acid. The folic acid is there to stop, to try to prevent neural tube defects in the baby. So things like spinal bifida would be a potential cause if you weren't getting enough folic acid in your system. So obviously you want to make sure that you're taking your prenatal vitamins, that you're not sabotaging it by having too much green tea. I know that sounds crazy, but it is a possibility. So again, just 1 to 2 cups a day, decaf preferably, organic. Something like this is great. It has a light taste to it, a little lemony. It's lemon myrtle. And that's about it. Thanks for joining.